In this video, we will talk about the ear. And the ear in general has two big functions. So for the ear, it's responsible, of course, for hearing, and then it's responsible for balance. Now, the ear has three parts. We have the external ear, the middle, and the inner ear. Hearing is a function of all of them. So all of them will contribute to hearing. But balance is only for the inner ear. But again, hearing is for all of them. And that's what we will see in this video. So to understand the structures of the ear, we will go through them one by one. We will start with the external ear. The external ear has two big structures. The first one is the auricle or the pinna. And this is the outer ear that contains grooves. Those grooves will amplify sounds. And the pinna is made out mainly of or from elastic cartilage. That's why it's flexible. Those sound waves coming from different directions will be funneled into the ear canal. The ear canal is just a tube. Sometimes we'll call it the auditory tube. It's a tube that directs sound waves into the tympanic membrane. So the external ear is just the auricle and the ear canal. The tympanic membrane is the borderline between the middle ear and the external ear. It doesn't really belong to either of them. Think of it as a wall between two rooms. So the tympanic membrane is a structure that is made of fibers, and its biggest function is to convert sound waves to vibrations. It converts the sound waves to vibrations. So when the sound waves come into the ear canal, they will hit the tympanic membrane or the eardrum, and it will start to vibrate in response to those sound waves. Those vibrations will be transmitted into three small bones. Those bones are within the middle ear. So now we are talking about the middle ear. The middle ear basically is a hollow structure. So we have this cavity, and within this cavity we have three little bones that they connect the tympanic membrane to the wall of the temporal bone of the skull. Now, those three little bones are the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. Three little bones. The malleus is attached to the back of the tympanic membrane. So if I draw the tympanic membrane like this from the back, I will find that the malleus is attached to the back of it. And the malleus has like a head, right? So this is the malleus. Then we will have the incus that is beneath it or connected to it like this. So this will be the incus. And then we will have the stapes. The stapes, well, it has like a very unique shape, like a horseshoe. And this will be the stapes. Okay, so those are the three bones or the ossicles of the ear. Now, what do? They amplify the vibrations. So the function of the three of the ossicles to amplify vibrations. Notice that we are not talking anymore about sound waves. We are talking about vibrations, because the sound waves ended at the tympanic membrane. After that is all vibrations. And because of the size difference between the tympanic membrane and the stapes, this area, we are talking about 27 times of amplification from here to here. Think of it, we are concentrating the vibrations. We're moving the vibration from large area into small area. So we are concentrating them, we are consolidating them into a small area. That's why we say their function is to amplify vibrations. So those are the major structures of the middle ear. However, in the middle ear also, we have another structure called Eustachian tube. Eustachian tube. This is a tube that is open to the back of the mouth, back of the oral cavity. So if you walk here, if you stand here and walk, you will end up with at the end of the mouth or at the back of the mouth. The biggest function of the Eustachian tube is to equalize pressure on both sides of the tympanic membrane. Why? Because here, this side of the tympanic membrane is open to the external ear. And here, we need similar air pressure inside. So think, for example, when you go up in the airplane, you swallow to open up this tunnel to allow some air to go inside and therefore to equalize the pressure. That is the air bubble. So that is the function of this eustachian tube. In certain conditions, this tube will get inflamed and there will be mucus or fluid accumulated in this area and also in this area, and patients will feel that there is water in their ears. Sometimes this is sometimes the blockage is severe that they have to go and drain that fluid or drill additional canal in the bone to allow that fluid to be drained. So all of that is in the eustachian tube. Okay, now let's move to the inner ear. And in the inner ear, we have mainly like several structures. We will talk about them. We have the cochlea, we have the semicircular canals, we have the vestibule. So we have several structures. But before that, I need you to understand the transition from the stapes to the inner ear. So therefore, let's go back to this drawing and I will erase those additional stuff here. So we said this is the stapes, and the stapes as a bone is laying against the temporal bone. So here it will be the temporal bone. This temporal bone thick except in the area that the stapes laying against. So this area where the stapes is laying against, we will call it the oval window. So it's not really a window, rather it's a narrow bone. The bone is thin there because we need to transmit the vibrations from the stapes through the bone to the inner ear. That's why I have a small layer of bone in that region. Okay, so from the stapes we will have the oval window. So it will be a good idea now to write the pathway of the sound wave pathway. We said it's coming from the auricle to the ear canal, then to the tympanic membrane. Then we have the vibration pathway, which is the tympanic membrane into the ossicles. The first one is the malleus, then to the incus, then to the stapes, then to the oval window. And from there, it will go to the inner ear. And we will see some details about that. But for now, that's what we know. The sound wave and the vibration pathway. The sound wave pathway and the vibration pathway. Just make sure that the sound wave ends by or ends at the tympanic membrane. Okay, let's go back and talk about the structures of the inner ear. In the inner ear, there are two things. There is the bony structure, and inside this bony structure, there is a fluid. What I need you to think of, a pen. This pen contains a plastic tube. Inside the plastic tube, it contains a fluid. If we assume that this plastic tube is the bone, then this would get us very similar organization of the inner ear. Because in the inner ear, what we have bone. So all of this purple is bone, and this bone is really hollow bone. Inside it, it's empty, or there is like a hole, or there is a cavity inside it. Inside the cavity, there is a sac, which is the blue stuff. This sac is filled with the fluid. Okay, so the purple one is the bony labyrinth, and the blue is the membranous labyrinth. And inside this membranous labyrinth, we have a fluid. We'll call it the perilymph fluid, which will in our case, in our example, will be like the ink. Okay, so in the inner ear we have three different regions. We have the semicircular ducts. Those are three semicircular canals, or semicircular or half circles, that are orienting themselves along the anterior, lateral, and posterior planes. Those are continuous and connected to the auricle and the saccule. Those both, we will call them the vestibule. Okay, the auricle and saccule. And the saccule is continuous or connected to the cochlea. Now, if you remember, we said the inner ear is responsible for balance and hearing. So the semicircular ducts and the vestibule, those are for the balance, whereas the cochlea is for the hearing. Okay, so I will stop here. In the following video, we will talk about additional details regarding the cochlea, and we might talk also about the semicircular ducts and the vestibule.